Hey everybody! Today Rahdo runs through his top 10 thematic games. Yes. Today it's Theme Uber Alles. That is the order of the day, and that's what we're going to be talking about. And let's just cut right to the chase. Thematic, in the context of this particular top 10 list, is a code word for Ameritrash. And before I jump right into it, I probably should talk about that a little bit, the whole Ameritrash versus Euro divide within the board game community. Particularly because I'm sure if you're at all familiar with my videos, you know that both myself and my wife, Jen, are well known for our predilection towards the Euro side of the spectrum and our rejection of the Ameritrash. You know, typified by, well, our extreme distaste for Arkham Horror on the one end, and on the other end, our extreme undying love for almost all things Stefan Feld, the king of the dry cube pusher. So what am I doing making a top 10 thematic / Ameritrash video? Well, one, this was a very highly requested video. People really wanted to see this, so I'm more than happy to give it a try. And the reality is, it's not like Jen and I are, just because we're Euro fans through and through, doesn't mean we're immune to the charms of what Ameritrash / Thematic Games offer. Because, well, you know, it's really hard to actually even define what Ameritrash versus Euro is. And you know, actually before I did this video, I actually looked online and tried to see if I could find some kind of universally agreed upon definition, and I can't. You know, typically Ameritrashy type games are known for their overly long play time, their you know, ridiculously complex and convoluted rules, because of course the thing that these games are trying to do is really try to capture all the depth and complexity of a simulation, and that often requires tons and tons of little tiny rules to deal with all the particular things that could happen, rather than, you know, the other end of the spectrum, the kind of games Jen and I normally like, the Euros, which are all about streamlined elegance and, you know, getting a single concept down to the core so you can just focus on, you know, gameplay mechanisms while you're playing. And, you know, like I said, Ameritrash is the opposite of that. But, you know, there's a lot of overlap now between Euros and Ameritrash. It's becoming a less and less meaningful term. That's why I think everybody is switching away from Ameritrash to thematic. But I just wanted to say up front that when I'm talking about this, you know, because there's a lot of really great thematic games we absolutely love that I'm not putting on this list, like Dungeon Pets. Dungeon Pets is a hugely thematic game. Everything in that game is, you know, driven by the theme of you raising these cute little pet monsters and all of that and taking care of them. Great thematic game, but not what people think of for the most part when they think of that, again, that bridge, that gap between Euro and Ameritrash. So I thought about how can I really quantify what the games on this list are and what makes them different from the normal games Jen and I play. And I think it's less about what the types of components are, although the more plastic there is in the box, the better for the purposes of this list. And it's less about you know, the game length or the complexity of the rules. It's more about the feel. You know, and this is the best I could come up with, that if Euro games are all about playing with your head, then Ameritrash games are all about playing with your heart. And I think that's what it comes down to. I mean, when you're playing a good thematic, you know, Ameritrashy type game, you're playing with your gut, not with your gray matter, which is where Euros come in. And so this is all about the games Jen and I really enjoy on that end of the spectrum. With a few, well, I mean, there'll be some caveats here and there, because like I said, the majority of this side of the coin, Jen and I, we generally tend not to enjoy because they don't engage us, because there's not enough meat on the bone gameplay-wise. It's much more about drawing cards, reading little story snippets, and rolling dice and seeing if you win or lose. You know, that is generally the high watermark of this type of game, and that's not interesting us. Jen and I, we did not enjoy Eldritch Horror, we did not enjoy Arkham Horror, those kinds of games, and yet I'm still going to attempt to make my top 10 thematic games. Okay, are you ready? Well, enough of, you know, that was a very long-winded intro. Sorry about that. Let's just get right into it, starting with number 10, which I think might be a surprise to a lot of people. Myth. Yes, that's right. You heard me, myth. If anybody who saw my run-through of this game, or particularly my final thoughts, might be surprised I put this on the list because, well, I think there's a bit of a misconception about my feelings about Myth, the game, out there. So let me address that right off the bat. I mean, yes, I ripped it a new one, some people would like to point out, in my final thoughts. But that's not quite the case. The core game here of Myth is really, really cool. And it's a great, wonderful, thematic Ameritrash style game. Got tons of minis. It's all about, these big, epic, dramatic conflicts and clashes as, the desperate heroes fight against unstoppable odds to try and win the day and save the world. And there's a lot of dice rolling and all the stuff you would expect from this type of genre. And the game does that very, very well. Now, the reason this makes it on my list where something like, say, Descent doesn't, because we played Descent, or Mice and Mystics. The typical, dice-chucking adventure game that you would think of as a thematic Ameritrash style game, like the ones I just mentioned, Jen and I, we just don't have time for them because they are all about, the tactical skirmish nature of the game really just kind of wears us down and doesn't engage us because it is, on a very simple level, just about, okay, move, roll my dice, see if I attack, okay, roll their dice, see if they defend, do it again, rinse and repeat, and then every once in a while I'll do a special move. Myth really fundamentally shakes that core up by introducing, and this is going to be a common refrain throughout this video, introducing more Euro-ish style mechanisms in and amongst the carnage of the Ameritrash. That's what we really, really like about this game, because at its heart, this game is not really driven by the dice. This game is driven by the cards you have in your hand. Because it's a hand management game where your particular character might at any given time have cards in his hand. You're constantly basically cycling through your hand of cards, through your deck of cards that determines what you can do. And the trick of this game is trying to deal with the fact that as in a cooperative space, sometimes I am on deck, I am ready to go as the cleric who can heal everybody and put the curse on people, but my partner has no arrows in her quiver and she can't fire. And us having to work together and wrestle our decks to the ground so that we can actually triumph over all the bad guys is what elevates this game above the standards of this again tactical skirmish genre that Jen and I don't tend to enjoy. Now Myth has a lot of problems, don't get me wrong. I spent most of my time when I did my run-through for this, the final thoughts, talking about how I think this game probably shipped 6 months too early, maybe even a year too early. It needed a lot more play testing. It needed a lot more love and attention. There's a lot of rough edges, and to this day, a lot of them are still there. But I have high hopes for this game that, come this time next year, all that stuff will be worked out, and the core beauty of the game will be able to finally shine through without all the warts that it's kind of hard to see. And so that's why it makes our top 10. In time, it might climb up because we loved the core gameplay. It was just kind of undone by the rush to market state that the game is currently in. But the gameplay itself is absolutely awesome. This is a wonderful example of how you can have a strongly thematic, Ameritrashy type game that would engage Euro players like me and Jen. Okay, so that was number 10, Myth. Now, moving on to number 9. Agents of SMERSH. Now, some people are going to say, Agents of SMERSH, why not Tales of Arabian Nights? Why Agents of SMERSH? And, for a simple fact of the matter that, well, actually, I talked about this when I did the run-through for this game. I've actually done run-throughs for several of these games, so you can go watch those. There'll be links at the end of the video, so you can learn more. But at its heart, what Agents of SMERSH is a huge epic storytelling game. How do I know? Because it comes with a storybook that is as thick as a telephone book. There is so much story spread throughout this game, and what we're doing in this game is playing kind of Austin Powers-esque, sort of swinging, hip secret agents who are jet-setting all around the world trying to stop the evil plans of Dr. Lobo, who wants to destroy the world. It's very, very kind of silly and over the top, but what makes the game an interesting experience for us Well, in part is the story. We love a good story, and and the game has definitely made us smile, has definitely engaged us in its narrative. That kind of gets stitched together from all these different little paragraphs that are spread. They're all throughout that book. Almost like the world's most elaborate choose your own adventure. But the thing that elevates this above Tales of Arabian Nights is that there is an actual game here as well. This is not just a matter of walking around the map and getting thrown random encounters and then making just kind of random, mostly meaningless decisions and then just being entertained by a funny story. Because the way the game works is that when you have to deal with problems, because now this game does everything I just said right in the intro that Jen and I don't particularly like. We don't like just walking around a board, reading a card, rolling the dice it tells us to roll, and then seeing what happens. That's what this game does, make no mistake. But here's what elevates it. It's the way it does the dice. Because you actually in this game have a dice cup or a dice bag. And when you have a particular challenge, there's a default die you have to roll every single time. But what you can do is you can kind of push your luck and spend resources to try to get additional dice. And the different dice you get, you draw them kind of blind out of the cup, and you won't know until the dice is in your hand what the probability of success is. Because some dice have a lot of successes on them, some don't have a lot. And so you have this whole extra element of the game of managing your risk. It's not just about, oh, well, my intelligence happens to be 7, so that means I get to roll 7 dice, and I have to have at least 5 successes because this says have a 5 success. There's more than that because the dice themselves change. And so you have to make, okay, well, I guess you can give up more of your resources to get more dice, but then you won't have those for other purposes later in the game. And that extra tiny little bit is what separates the men from the boys, the SMERSH from the other games of this genre. It's why we prefer this over Eldritch Horror as an example. And then on top of that, it's a really solid cooperative game too, because there are little hotspots jumping up all over the world. We do have to coordinate our actions, get to the right place at the right time. Unforeseen eventualities happen that kind of mess it up in a very Ameritrashy type way. But overall, there's enough game here, and it's really that core element of how this game uses dice that puts this on our list at number 9, Agents of SMERSH. Okay, on to number 8, another one I've done a run through for. Oh, the majority of these boxes are very big and heavy, and that's no surprise, because that's another thing that typifies Ameritrash. Tons of stuff in the box, and Middle-earth Quest definitely delivers on that. This board is actually 2 full-size boards that you put together on your table. This thing is a table-devouring machine. It is so huge and so expansive, and that's appropriate because it tells such a huge, expansive story. The War of the Ring, Sauron against the free people of Middle-earth. And what's really, really cool about this game is the asymmetry of it, that one player plays as Sauron and the other player or players play as brave dwarves and elves and men and women are running all over the place trying to deal and put a stop to all the evil plots that Sauron has put into motion. And all the while, Sauron has his own troops that he's moving around on the board. And the thing that's so cool about this game is if you're playing as Sauron, you are playing a radically different game with different goals, different gameplay mechanisms. Everything about your game is different. And that's what we really, really enjoy about Middle-earth Quest. Now, unfortunately, it doesn't get played near as much as it should because, true to its Ameritrash origins, this game is crazy long. And it takes a long time to set up. And it's got 1.5 million little exception rules that really drag us down. And, that's all the stuff we hate about Ameritrash, and it's all here in Middle-earth Quest, no doubt. But, but it's just the drama, the excitement. It does all the stuff that Ameritrash does well. Very, very well. It's very exciting. It's very easy to get wrapped up in the story that's evolving. The miniatures, the quality of the art, everything about this game is a top-notch production. But, and that's true for a lot of Ameritrash games, what really sets this apart is the asymmetrical gameplay. That, 2 players are playing radically different games at the same time, and that's where the excitement comes from. Okay, yeah, okay, so anyway, that was number 8, Middle-earth Quest. Now I'm moving on to number 7. Oh, this is a smaller box, but don't be fooled. It is so heavy. Runebound. I've got about half of all the expansion content. This is an amazing amount of content that is available for Runebound. This is another game I've done a run through for. You can go check it out to learn more about it. This is, Jen's in my opinion, to this day, the premier freewheeling, vast expansion, vast expansive adventure board game on the market. And there are plenty of other games out there that vie for the crown, but nothing touches it. Not Mage Knight, the board game, not, there's a lot of you can talk about, but still, Jen and I always come back to Runebound. Because, well, again, it does Ameritrash proud. Again, wonderful minis, really, lots of dice, lots of excitement, lots of drama. But the one thing that makes this game special, I shouldn't even open this up, but I will. Yeah, fortunately, I've still got the box from the last time I did a video and I mentioned this. The thing that makes the game truly special are these dice. I keep showing these in videos. I love them because every turn, on your turn, you roll these dice and these tell you what you can do. Because the whole game is all about traversing this big fantasy world, fighting monsters, leveling up, collecting loot, all towards the purpose of defeating the big bad boss guy. And there's a million different variations of it because it's come with so many expansions. But every turn, the beginning of your turn, you have to roll the dice, and that becomes a little puzzle for you to solve. How are you going to use these dice to move around the world? I so desperately need to get over this mountain pass to get to the frigid, northern city because they've got a sword for sale that's perfect for me. And I so desperately want it. But Jen wants it too. And she's coming from the east. And she, I'm closer, but she has roads she can follow. So when she rolls her dice, road, which is the most common die on there, it's going to be easy for her to travel down the roads. Me, I got to get over this mountain. So if I roll, but I don't end up with any mountains, that thematically tells the story that the mountain paths are closed and I have to find another way around. And that's what makes the game so cool and so unique and so innovative, and why we still enjoy it so much more than the other games of its type. So that was number 6, Runebound. On to number 5. Again, I've done a run through for this, although I've only done a run through for the prototype. So, but there's lots of other videos out there. You can see what the final quality of the game looks like and all of that. But this is a fairly new game. No, it's the second new. It's not the newest game on the list, but it's the second newest. Just came out this year. Galaxy Defender. Now, this is another tactical minis skirmish game, like Myth, and it's not the last one on this list. There's one more coming. But this one is basically XCOM, the board game. It is definitely set, in kind of the modern day. Aliens have come to Earth and are trying to, take over, and just modern military grunts and and X-Files type characters and cool ninja type ladies are our only means of defense against the onslaught. You play on these, hexagon spaces. The bad guys move around. They all have special powers. You have special powers. You level up over the course of many, many games. This has a campaign mode where your character gets better and better and better. Another great thing about Myth, I forgot to mention, is what this game does also. And the gameplay itself is pretty straightforward. Roll dice. Lots of D10s in this box to see if you beat them or if they beat you. But really, I think probably what elevates this game for us is two things. One, the fact that it's pure co-op, and a really, really good co-op. You really, I said right up front that one of the core things that typifies the games on this list is you play with your heart, not your head. You play with your gut, not your gray matter. That's my little, but this game really pushes that line because it's a very challenging game in the ilk of other cooperative games like Pandemic. The bad guys really put the screws on you, and you do have to spend a lot of time thinking long and hard. You can't just, play willy-nilly and go crazy and just rush in where angels fear to tread and hope for the best. You have to be smart because your opponents are super smart. And that's actually probably the core thing we really like about this game. Every monster on the board, every alien, is run by a card, an AI card, that gives them often very, very cool and unique strategies that they themselves follow. So, while Jen and I can work together, we don't have to work at odds like, say, in Middle-earth Quest. we can work together, but we can still have the depth of an interesting, thought-provoking battle that something like Middle-earth Quest gives without us having to beat each other's throats, and that's a huge deal for us. Now, I should say one thing, the only reason we own this game, because this very likely would have not been in our collection if it wasn't for the fact that one of the playable characters is this ninja lady right here, because Jen hates anything to do with machine guns. And if you have a game where you put a real world gun, not a ray gun or a bow or a crossbow, if you put a gun in her hand, she tunes out. She has no interest in the game at all. And that'll come into play later in the list. Fortunately, the developers are smart enough to put in this ninja lady who runs around the battlefield really fast with a sword. And doesn't, well, she has a pistol, but she really focuses on the sword. And so for that, Jen says thank you, because there would not have been a thematic opening for her to invest herself in this game if it wasn't for that. But anyway, that was, what was it? Number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That was number 5. Moving on to number 4. Now, this is the first game of 3, unfortunately, that I will not be able to show you today because I do not physically, well, kind of. Well, okay, enough about that. Number 4. Mansions of Madness. Now this is another wonderful, pure, straight up Ameritrash game from the kings of Ameritrash. Fantasy Flight, I mean, they also did Middle-earth Quest. They've also done Runebound. And this is my 3rd Fantasy Flight game on this list. And I don't believe it, yeah, and there's one more coming. Longtime fans, you probably know what it is. There are 4 of these 6 games are from Fantasy Flight because Fantasy Flight is the undisputed king of, the modern Ameritrash game. And, Mansions of Madness is another really, really wonderful game they have put out. Let's see, but I don't own it because it is a game that, unfortunately, as much as Jen wanted to play it and to enjoy it, it put Tommy guns and pistols into her hand. The character she played had to, it's a Cthulhu game. It's in the same Cthulhu mythos game, set in the Roaring 20s, 30s, as a desperate group of humans, private investigators and actresses and psychiatrists and all kinds of random everyday folks have to pick up guns and fight back the hordes of Cthulhu, these other dimensional creatures that are trying to take over the world. And Jen, she just had no interest in the subject matter whatsoever. It was a complete turnoff for her, so we ultimately traded away, even though we both agreed that we enjoyed the gameplay. Now, this, like a Middle-earth Quest, is a game where one player plays effectively the dungeon master and the other player or players play the heroes. And so when we played it, I always ended up playing, I forget what it was called, the dungeon master character, who controls all the bad guys and moves them around and has all the secrets, knows everything that's going to happen over the course of a given adventure. And Jen, she is the plucky investigators trying to save the world. But and there's other games like this, but the thing that puts Mansions of Madness well above its competition is, honestly, the mini games. I'm a former video game developer myself, so I certainly appreciate this. I actually played this a lot with my former video game developing colleagues as well. We all loved the notion that unlike Arkham Horror, which again is the epitome of the Ameritrash art form today, other than the fact that it doesn't have minis. But other than that, Arkham Horror is top dog, top and end, although Eldritch Horror will no doubt dethrone it. But unlike Arkham Horror, if you in Arkham Horror come across a safe that you have to open, what do? Okay, I check my skill for opening safes. It's a 7. That means I get to roll these dice and I have to beat this number, and that's it. In Mansions of Madness, what you do if you come across a safe you have to open, you actually have to play a safe cracking game. A full-on, and the game comes with several of these neat little fun puzzles, like rewiring circuitry to turn on power to parts of the building that are have power outages, and all kinds of these fun little games. Sliding tile puzzles, and really, really cool, clever stuff that makes you feel like you are actually doing the action that your hero has to attempt. It's so clever and so gorgeous and so wonderful. We love it. Particularly because, the mini games themselves are very, very cool, but what's even cooler is they are affected by your character. Your character still does have a stat that makes him, his high intelligence makes him more likely to crack a safe. And so that means the higher, the higher your skill is at that, you get like little helper, you get like a head start, like certain things are revealed that otherwise would be secret and stuff like that. So when Jen is playing this and she has several characters she's manipulating, which is also something we normally don't like, but in this game it was definitely worth it because we love these mini games. She would, oh crap, I found the circuit breaker, but my really dumb character found it. He doesn't know how to fix anything. He's too smart. He should be off fighting bad guys. Okay, I got to get the professor down here into the attic. And then once he comes down and he's the one who can do it, then Jen actually plays it's a real time. You only have so many seconds to actually work on this puzzle. And if you run out of time, you fail and you've wasted an action. But you can keep going back and pick up where you left off. It has this real sense of visceral urgency and immediacy. You feel like you're there, and it's just brilliant. Absolutely love it. It's just such a shame the game didn't have a high fantasy, because Jen would have loved that. But the fact that it went with the Cthulhu mythos was a total turnoff for her, so we ultimately got rid of it. And why couldn't it have been haunted castles and scary dungeons instead of New England mansions and whatever. C'est la vie. That's number 4. Cool game. A lot of people complain that it has like lots of imbalances. That it was a bit rough and ready, much like Myth, but Jen and I never found that to be a problem because we never actually played competitively. As the dungeon master, I never really felt it was my job to win at all costs and destroy Jen. And some of the adventures are kind of unbalanced, and I could do that if I wanted to kind of spam Jen with certain things, but I never did that because I just wanted to make the game fun for both of us. I was the storyteller. So we love the game a lot. Great game. If only it had had a fantasy. If only it had been set in Terranoth, the Rune world, instead of stupid old Cthulhu. Again, with the Cthulhu. Talk about something that's overplayed. Anyway, that was number 4, Mansion of Madness. On to number... Oh, I'm sorry, no, that was number 5. Yeah, Mansion of Madness. On to number 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Number 4. Oh, wait a minute. Do I have 11 on this list? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Myth was number 10. SMERSH was number 9. Middle-earth Quest, number 8. Runebound, number 7. Galaxy Fender, number 6. Okay, number 6. Number 5, Mansion of Madness. Now, on to number 4. This is another game I don't have, although I do kind of. I have it in prototype form. We ended up getting this game not very long ago, and I recently did a run-through. This game is so fresh, it is still on Indiegogo today. You can still go and back it. And if you watch my run-through, all I can say is go check out my run-through, because you might find Assault at Doomrock. Oh, yeah, I don't have anything to show for that. Assault at Doomrock. Oh, I've got cards and I've got tokens and whatnot. Is an excellent thematic adventure game. And in fact, I said a little bit ago that Runebound is still top banana in the whole sprawling adventure fantasy game. Actually, I lied. It's not. Assault at Doomrock has dethroned Runebound for us, which is a big deal. Now again, all I can say is go watch the run through, because I don't have a box I can show you that and all of that. But in a nutshell, what makes this game so special, it is just straight up high fantasy. A group of adventurers have to band together to save the world from the looming evil. They only have so much time before everything falls into chaos and dismay, blah blah blah, all the standard stuff. Although one thing that does make its fantasy non-standard is it has a very wicked sense of humor. There's a lot of silly sense of humor. I worked on Fable 2 back in the day as a video game developer, and Assault at Doomrock, a lot of the comedy in this game kind of reminded me of that. Just sort of the fact that one of the creatures you fight is exploding tomatoes, and the fact that when you're creating your character, you mix a noun like fighter or mage or thief with an adjective like frustrated or there's quite a stinky or overly heroic. So you could have like an overly heroic thief, and those two things combined make you a very unique character who plays very cool in special ways. What really makes this game so cool though is, and this is actually I would say the first one that it really breaks a fundamental core tenet of, well no actually I was about to say it breaks the core tenet of Ameritrash, because it's I was about to say it's quick, but it's not. This is a long game. It takes upwards of 2 or 3 hours. It is very, but it doesn't feel that way because it is not overly weighed down and overly burdened with the logistics of what has come before it. The core thing that makes this game special is that it kind of completely breaks the paradigm of what a game like Runebound does. You spend a lot of time in Runebound just traveling around the world. You spend a lot of time in combat, rolling dice over and over and over and over again. And it's a lot of rinse, wash, repeat. What made Runebound special was the special dice that broke that up and made it cool. What makes Assault on Doomrock special is it dumps all that stuff. Travel is instant. If you want to be, at the Leaky Cauldron Inn in town, and currently you're out in the vast desert, just say you want to go there. You spend some time tokens and boom, you're there. It cuts out all the minutia, all the rigmarole, and just lets you get straight to the adventure. It's really, really cool. And like I said, it's on Indiegogo right now. So if you're at all interested in Ameritrashy type games, but want something fresh and different that really changes the rules up, go check it out. That's Assault on Doomrock, my number 4. I have gotten back into counting. Number 3, this is the last one that unfortunately I do not have in hand, although I've got a good reason. Number 3 is Catacombs. Now this is a very, very cool, once again, an asymmetrical, one player plays as the Dungeon Master, the other player plays as the heroes. This is the, so like Middle-earth Quest, before it, so actually no, Middle-earth Quest was the other one I mentioned so far that does this. I end up always having to play the bad guys. I don't know why that is, but Jen always wants to be the heroes, I'm always the bad guy, and that's cool. But what makes this game different from all the other games of its ilk, like Descent and whatnot, is it's a tactical skirmish game. It is all about the heroes on the board, kind of maneuvering around and trying to get one up the bad guys who all have special powers and are trying to kill the heroes. And I control the monsters. You control the heroes. What makes all of it different is it's a dexterity game. The board is a two-dimensional plane with a whole bunch of three-dimensional blockers all over the place that represent pillars and obstructions. And to move your heroes around on the board, you flick them because they're little discs. And so you actually have to line up your shots, and if you want your dwarf to attack the giant spider, you have to aim and actually shoot the giant spider with your dwarf. And if your disc hits the spider disc, that spider disc takes a point of damage or more, depending on how you knock stuff around and what your special powers are. Or you might take your wizard and try and flick them over into a corner where they're safe and can't be shot, because then from where the wizard is, they can flick a fireball token that shoots out a bad guy, so they don't have to get in, in close and personal like, say, the fighters do. It's so cool and so fun. Jen and I loved it. But the problem was, when we originally got the game, we were still living in England. And we had a very tiny table to play on that was up against a wall. And so because this is a game that's all about getting out of your chair and moving around and figuring out the angles, like a game of pool. Imagine pool, the game of pool, as a competitive game where one person is a bunch of spiders and orcs and goblins and the other person is a bunch of, and you're fighting each other. So we couldn't really play it to the best effect because of our situation. Now that we live here in Malta, we've got a big, wide open table. You can easily get to it from all angles. And so I went ahead and rebought after I traded away Catacombs because we just physically couldn't play it. Now that we've got a table that's appropriate, and recently there was a new reprint of it with entirely new art that is awesome. It is so gorgeous. We love it so much. I couldn't resist, and I ended up getting a copy of it, and I can't wait for it to show up because we love this game. It is so much fun. The dexterity elements, the asymmetry, and it's got all the great stuff you expect, leveling up characters and evil, nefarious, all that stuff. Great, great game. Cannot wait for it to show up. Number 3, Catacombs. Number 2, and this is the last of the tactical skirmish games where I play as the Dungeon Master controlling bad guys, Jen plays as the plucky heroes just controlling good guys as she plumbs the depths of some ancient evil catacomb, trying to solve quests, rescue villagers, recover ancient lost dark secrets, whatever, all that kind of stuff you would expect you can find in Claustrophobia. This is an excellent, excellent game. Once again, I've done a run through for it, so you can go check out why. So many things to love about this. Unlike every other game on this list that comes with minis, this one comes with minis too. I so appreciate the fact that the developer took the time and effort to actually let these miniatures come pre-painted. That adds so much to the game. I will never learn how to paint my miniatures in Runebound or Galaxy Defender or Middle-earth Quest or Myth. It's just not going to happen. I so love the fact that this game found an economical way to have the miniatures pre-painted. That's absolutely wonderful. But even if it didn't, this game would still be just as high on the list because while it, again, this is another example of everything that Ameritrash does well. Big, exciting, dramatic moments that, a twist on a dime of will that die roll come out the way you need it because you're so desperate, you're up against the wall and hooray, it happened, or oh no, we're plunged into the depths of despair. All the stuff that people love about Ameritrash, this game does brilliantly, but what it does better than all of them, the other ones on the list, the other Descent style games that are out there, what it does better than all of them is this game is super streamlined, super elegant. This is, at its heart, much closer to Euro than Ameritrash. Because in this game, and this is also true, I should have said, for Assault on Doomrock. It's one of the reasons we love Assault on Doomrock. You do not roll your dice to see what your attack score is and then roll other dice to see what your defense score is. That's not true. You do. You do roll you do roll. But what's more important in this game is the dice rolling you do for your characters. At the beginning of every round, you have your big handful of dice. And you roll them not to see how strong, or not to see how well you hit this particular monsters in the room with you. You roll them to define what your character can do, because your character has each character is not just a card; is this little standee that has a card and has all these slots. And what you have to do is you have to you roll 4 dice, because when you're controlling the heroes, you have 4 heroes. So you roll a die for each one, and then you might roll a 6, a 4, a 3, and a 2. You now have to assign a 6 to one of your heroes, a 4, a 3, and a 2. And depending on what number you give to which guy, you can radically change their stance. You can make them much more defensive and prepared to try and tank up and take all the damage and survive if they're in a lot of trouble. You can have them go balls to the wall and cast really, really big, powerful spells that if you put different dice on them. But as they get hit and hurt more and more, that you put these little slots in that block numbers. So like if this character over here normally would be able to cast a really awesome spell if you put a 6 in there, but they took damage and now their 6 slot is blocked. And over time, as more and more of your characters get hurt, your options get limited. It tangibly represents the fact that the more hurt you are, the less you can do, because there are fewer physical slots you can put your dice in. And so if your 6 is blocked in here, but you ended up rolling in such a way that you have no choice, you have to put a 6 in there anyway, your character is disabled and can't do anything because their wounds are overtaking them. It's a brilliant system. But then what's equally brilliant is, as the Dungeon Master, like Middle-earth Quest, you are playing a radically different game. You, instead of having all these little guys that you assign your dice to give them different strengths and weaknesses, you have, I forget what it's called, you're not a Dungeon Master, whatever, I'm just going to keep calling them Dungeon Masters. You have this board that when you roll your dice, it plays very much like Kingsburg, and you can actually spend your dice on all these different commands you can give that will, let you spawn more bad guys, let you give your bad guys special abilities they don't normally have, let you start, saving up mana so that the heroes are really, really scared. I keep spending turn after turn not spawning bad guys, but I'm getting more and more mana. I must be saving it for something really, really big. And then suddenly I have signed my dice in such a way that it unleashes hell and completely overruns the heroes. So cool that the gameplay, for whether you're the villain player or the hero player, is so great. That's the thing we love more than anything else. Then of course the game itself is gorgeous. It has these big gigantic tiles, and when I mentioned earlier that it streamlines gameplay, it's not just in that it does away with all the, well, let me roll for my attack, let me roll for my defense, let me roll for my counterattack, and blah blah blah, that just goes on forever, and it's just like, come on. I mean, there's nothing, it does away with all that. Which is great, because you use dice for something very, very different. But it also does away with a lot of the persnickety stuff about line of sight and, how many steps can I move? Because, well, again, you can watch my run through. That's the thing that's so great about this game. It stays true to an Ameritrash experience, unlike something like, say, Legends of Andor, which is one of my favorite games of all time. But, it's a pure Euro. Make no mistake about it. It's a cooperative puzzle game that looks like an Ameritrash, but is a pure Euro. Claustrophobia is still an Ameritrash game, but it does everything right, and it's just so gorgeous and so wonderful. We love it, love it, love it. Go watch the run through for more. And that leads us to the final game. And now this is another one that's kind of cheating because Jen will not play this game with me. I am so sad I have no one to play this game with. I have played it with other players before, and it's great, but mostly I have to play it solo. Done a run through for it. It's so great. It's so atmospheric. I mean, this game really, really transports you to its location, to dark, foreboding, you know, derelict, abandoned space stations floating out in the cold depths of space that have been overrun with the scariest, nastiest aliens the universe has ever seen. And when you're playing by yourself, as I always have to do, you are a squad of Marines sent in to eliminate the threat in Space Hulk Death Angel. Now this is a card game. This breaks all the rules of Ameritrash. There is no chrome, there is no bling, there are no minis. It's just a bunch of cards that represent your characters, it's a bunch of cards that represent the areas you fight in, it's a bunch of cards that represent the bad guys. But in spite of that, this game is so evocative. The adventure is, you know, the creeping menace and terror is so palpable. I mean, this is a game when I play it and I'm rolling the dice and I'm so desperate to survive one last round so that I can activate the self-destruct mechanism that will save the universe, even if I myself have to perish gloriously in a final fireball, and I gotta roll that skull, I gotta roll it. And when I do, I have literally jumped off the couch and shouted and woohoo, you know, whooped it up. No game does that to me. No game enthralls me like Space Hulk Death Angel. This game is so brilliant. Oh, why isn't it fantasy? Why is it yet another game? Well, I understand why. It's based on the very popular Space Hulk setting, and so it has to be Space Marines. This is basically, if you love James Cameron's Aliens, you have to get this game, because this game puts you in the role of Hicks and Hudson and Apone and all of them, and really makes you feel like you are there on the Nostradamus or wherever. And the aliens, they're what is it? They're the walls, man, or whatever. Everything about that great movie is captured and encapsulated in this tiny little box that provides you infinite replayability. So cool, I love it so much. If only it were a high fantasy setting so Jen would play with me, because I know she'd love it, but she just doesn't want to run around with machine Gatling guns killing scary aliens. It's just not interesting to her. And that's it, folks. That is 10. My top 10, and I can't say it's Jen's because, there's a couple of games on here she just won't play, but still, those are the 10 best thematic, although again, as far as I'm concerned, I was making a list of Ameritrash games. Agree, disagree, let me know. Did I forget something? Tell me I'm crazy. Tell me that, nah, it's not Ameritrash. Let me tell you what Ameritrash is. But this was my best attempt at trying to actually list the games that I feel fit the bill of Ameritrash, and yet that Jen and I, in some cases only me because of theme, but that Jen and I can really enjoy because they do something a little bit more. They don't just regurgitate the same stuff that has been around since chainmail. That's what makes all these games special. That's what keeps all of these in our collection, or we're trying to collect. I can't wait for Catacombs to get here. I'm so excited. But that's it, folks. That's the top 10. Thanks for watching. I'm sorry, I feel a little scatterbrained running through this, but it was a tough one for me to do because, again, this is not normally our wheelhouse. But these are all stand-up, fantastic games. I've done a run-through for every single one of them except for Catacombs, or in Mansions of Madness, because I physically don't have those. But otherwise, all the links for all the other ones are on the screen right now, so you can go learn more if you like. And otherwise, I'm going to bid you adieu. Have a very, very wonderful day. Talk to you later. Bye-bye.